Well, you may be wondering what it takes to get a divorce or why you would need to get a divorce in the state of Nebraska. The first of those are that you have to be a resident in the state of Nebraska for at least 1 year leading up to the filing. And the second is that you need to be able to prove that your marriage is irretrievably broken and efforts at reconciliation have failed. There remains no reasonable likelihood that your marriage can be preserved, and it's for the best interests of both parties that the marriage be dissolved. Irretrievably broken really just means that the parties have tried to fix whatever differences or difficulties that they've had throughout the marriage. In Hollywood, they call it irreconcilable differences. In Nebraska, the magic word's irretrievably broken. Same thing, Nebraska is a no-fault divorce state. So truthfully, if one party really wants to get divorced, the court will allow them to get divorced. So in the state of Nebraska, assets are divided based on what's called an equitable division. You have two courts of law. In Nebraska, you have a court of law and a court of equity, and divorce cases are handled in a court of equity. In the state of Nebraska, the word equitable means fair. It doesn't necessarily mean 50-50 when you're dividing the assets that have been acquired during the marriage. It simply means that the judge or the trier of fact of the parties must come down to whatever appears to be or seems to be the most fair outcome for each party. Case law has determined that equitable division of the property is somewhere between 1/3 and 1/2 of the estate. I also tell people that judges are just like the rest of us. They have the same problems, they have the same issues. When you take that into consideration and the fact that they are also public servants, generally overworked, likely underpaid, the reality is that a lot of times it does end up getting split 50-50, just simply based on workload and the appearance of ease of dividing assets in that direction. So 50-50 a lot of times happens, but that's not the law. Alimony in Nebraska is basically called rehabilitative or looked at as rehabilitative alimony. So it's basically just a bridge the gap sort of scenario from where the parties are now before they become self-sufficient. So the concept is one party is able to, or it's fair, it's equitable for the party to pay the other an amount that's determined based on sort of the budgets of the parties and the income and expenses for a period of time so that party can get back on their feet and become self-sufficient. Most people think that custody is generally about where the child or minor children or your kids are going to be living. However, custody is really a two-pronged approach. So you have legal custody and you have physical custody. Legal custody is the decision-making powers between the parents. Physical custody is where the children actually reside throughout the year. If you have any questions about divorce or you're contemplating divorce, please visit us at huskerlaw.com.